Can Pierre Poilievre really make Canada great again? I know that's a slogan they kind of use in a different country, but let's be honest. Canada was once a great country. It's not now, clearly. But once it was. Yeah, there were problems. Right? When I say make Canada great again, I don't mean like go back to where horrible things were happening, the genocide of the natives, racism, things like that. We still had slavery up here. A lot of people don't realize that. They think that was just an American thing. That's not true. We had them up here as well. So we have, of course, a dark past, just like the United States does. But what I mean by make Canada great again is let's go back to a time where we could afford a house. Let's go back to a time where we had a strong middle class. Let's go back to a time where wages weren't stagnant, where inflation wasn't out of control, where we weren't so divided socially. We've come a long way socially, right, with certain rights, different groups of people gaining rights. Those are good things. Keep that, but let's not destroy everything financially while we do it. Right, that's what I mean. Like, let's go back to where we had unions negotiating strong wages for us and making sure that we weren't getting fired for bullshit reasons. Let's go back to a Canada where people got along with everyone. I don't want to paint like a picture like everything was perfect. There were people who didn't like each other, of course, but we are way more divided. I don't think we're so divided where we're going to have a civil war or anything like that. But I think we're divided enough to where people aren't talking as much as they used to. Liberals and conservatives used to be able to have conversations for the most part. When I was growing up, when I was a younger man, when I was a teenager, yeah, sometimes I'd hear about, people have an argument at like Thanksgiving or Christmas. But it wasn't like a huge deal most of the time. Where now you have people who just won't even talk to each other. And that's a problem. When you have people on both sides who are so stuck in their ideologies that they won't talk or listen to what others have to say, they're just going to eventually become really, really biased because they're only listening to people on their side, not worrying about the counter arguments. We need a left-wing society. We need a right-wing society. It's not that simple. Both sides are going to have to compromise, and the only way you can compromise is when you talk. Hey, you can get this, but you're not getting this. That's how you negotiate. That's how you come together. But it seems like both sides just want, I want everything to be on the left or everything to be on the right, and it's not ever going to happen. But the pendulum of society always swings from the far right to the far left, back and forth, never ever landing in the reasonable middle. And it's because we're not talking. It's because we're not listening. That's also what I mean by make Canada great again. People used to listen to each other. The news used to be news. Go figure, right? Now you got to get your news. You got to find it on your own. And there's so many sites with misinformation, and I don't mean what the WEF considers misinformation. I mean just blatant lies. And you don't know who to trust anymore. You can figure it out eventually. There are good sources to get, the drop on what's really going on. But there's a lot more nonsense than there is truth on the internet. So you really have to make sure that you're finding good information. So let's make news again. Let's have affordable housing, a strong middle class, affordable groceries, affordable heat, all these wonderful things we used to have. In the 90s, when I was a kid, you could have parents, like my parents worked average jobs, and we could afford a house in the suburbs with 2 kids. My grandma also lived with us and she helped out a bit, but we could have gotten a smaller place in a different city and they still could have bought a house. They could have afforded a house, is my point. Now, you come over to a place like Hamilton, you live in an old house in the middle of a ghetto and it's worth $500,000. So what's a nice house worth? What's a new house worth? $1 million? It's crazy. Like, this is what I mean. Financially speaking, we're in such hard times in this country, and it's only going to get worse. That's what I mean by make Canada great again. I mean make Canada affordable again.